grown man conversations dealing with elephants in the room. What's going on? It's your man DB. Like, subscribe, share, man. Hit that notification bell so you can know when new content, new material is coming out. What's going on, man? God bless our friends and family, man. I want to get into this one video today talking about the novel 1984. It is incredible. They came out with a movie back in 1956 in black and white, and then they came out with another one, English version of it later on. I think 2017 or something, maybe later. But the novel, I want to get into the similarities of this novel by George Orwell. Man, this is so incredible. So much stuff that's going on in this novel, in this book, parallels with the things that's going on today. So the question is, 1984, the novel and the book and the movie, is it a fiction novel or is it truthful? Is it truthful with modern similarities? Let's check it out. The novel introduced the concept of ever-present, all-seeing Big Brother, the notorious Rule 101, the thought police who use telescreens or televisions that contain a surveillance camera found in almost every room of the apartments of the characters in the novel, and a fictional language called Newspeak. Okay, here go some of the themes in the book, if you haven't read it. Deprivation of privacy, prohibition of sex, destruction of history, essential nature of memory, and appreciation for the past, the ultimate fallibility of human mind. All right, so this is the meat and potatoes of it, guys. Check this out. My man's here, Eric Blair, better known as George Orwell, right? He died in 1950. He was born in India in a British colony. He wrote many books and essays, right? He was an international socialist. He was against British imperialism, and he fought in the Spanish Civil War. But this is one of the main things he was part of, BBC during World War II. And if anybody know anything about BBC, it's like our CNN, our Fox News, but it's British broadcasting channel, right? So this is one of the statements he made before he had died, right? Early in my life, I noticed that no event is ever correctly reported in the newspaper. Now, he's around all of these different writers and journalists, and he said a lot of the stuff that's written is not true. So he was in opposition to totalitarianism, and he supported democratic socialism. And totalitarianism, I'm tearing that word up. Let me read the definition to that: a system of government that is centralized and dictatorial and requires complete subversiveness to the state. And democratic socialism, it believes that means of making, moving, and trading wealth should be owned or controlled by the worker. So basically, in a nutshell, socialism is basically autonomy and freedom for the worker. And totalitarianism is like, look, government controls how the money flow, resources flow, and different things like that. All right, so that was pretty interesting, you know. But he wrote this novel in 1984. I think he was dying of tuberculosis. They didn't even release the book until 1949. But it's a very, very interesting book. Let's get into it. These are some of the events that happened in 1948. Okay, World War II ended. Okay, World War II went from 1939 to 1945. Israel declared independence May 1980. Not I put 1984. Sorry, 1948. Israel was handed over to the global Zionist Jewish state. Okay, Cold War between U.S. and Russia. In 1948, Arab-Israeli War, the massacre of Palestine Arab villagers by Israeli Defense Force. Could have been called 1984 because of the current events that was jumping off in 1948. We only can speculate that. All right. So let's listen to some of these different statements that he made after he left BBC, his observations. Okay, and then we got to say, okay, well, George, why do you feel this way? Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. That's very interesting. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectful. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable. Okay. Here goes some other things he said. So the future of society drifts from truth. The more of it we hate, those who speak it, those that speak it. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murders respectable, and give the appearance of solidarity to pure win. Okay, we have now sunk to a depth at which reinstatement of the obvious is the first duty of intelligent men. During the times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. That one was powerful. During the time of universal deceit, which meaning deceiving everyone, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. So I think it bothered his conscience that he would go and around these reporters and around these news people, and he would know truthful information, and they would doctor it up, and he would have to report something different, or he's seen things reported different than what was actually in front of him. Okay. The future of society drifts from truth. The more it will hate those who speak it. Well, I already had that one in there. All right, so let's go with the 1984 book summary. It's published in 1948. Well, published in 1949 because he died around 1948. It's based on dystopian vision of the future where the freedom of the individual is subjugated to the conformity of society. Okay, subjugated means to bring under domination or control. The novel focuses on Winston Smith, who worked for Ministry of Truth. We're going to get into what the Ministry of Truth is, a branch of the government responsible for a dissemination of information. So I'm thinking that this Winston Smith character in this book, in this novel, might be referring to himself. You know what I mean? So each day begins for all citizens with 2 minutes of hate session, which promotes fear and paranoia in order to ensure that people follow the wishes of Big Brother. We'll get into who Big Brother is later. In this world, children act as spies on parents. All individuality is watched way under the constant, ever-present gaze of Big Brother. As the novel unfolds, it becomes apparent that Winston Smith is unhappy with his life. He finds a girl, Julia, who shares his desires for a more meaningful life. Smith's revolt against society will eventually bring him eye to eye with Big Brother when he must decide if he truly loves Julia, freedom, or Big Brother. So he had to make a decision, right? So who is Big Brother? Big Brother in this book is a supreme ruler of Oceania leader of the party, a war hero, a master inventor, a philosopher. Party used images of Big Brother to instill their loyalty and their fear of the population. So all over the town, they had this big old poster, beware of Big Brother. Big Brother's watching you. Big Brother's watching you and stuff like that. This is very amazing. This man wrote this in 1948, 1947. And it's so parallel to today. It was a fiction back then, but how grim the realities is of it today. It's amazing. Winston Smith was the character in there. He hates the totalitarian control and enforces repression that are characteristic of his government. He harbors revolutionary dreams. So he thinks like, man, I don't like the way this system is set up. He owns a diary, which is forbidden by the thought police. We're going to get to who the thought police is in a minute. But he owns a diary. He shouldn't own a diary at all. Okay? So they are not encouraged to read, write, or think outside the confines of Big Brother's philosophy or ideology. They are not encouraged to read, write, or think outside the confines of Big Brother's philosophy or ideology. Think about the slaves. We couldn't read. We weren't supposed to read or write. There's like they gave us a Bible, but we couldn't even read it. And just in case we could read, they gave us a Negro Bible. They took out Exodus and took out a lot of liberation theology scriptures, what I call. But that's interesting. He was forbidden to have he was forbidden to own a diary, but he used to write down these different thoughts. Julia. Julia loves Winston in the novel. This is a lady in the novel. She works on this machine that creates pornography for the pros. We'll get into pros later. She's attracted to him because he does not fit in and he hates Big Brother. She found this information out during the 2 minutes of hate session. So during the 2 minutes of hate session, everybody in there screaming and hollering. I would have showed some video, but I don't know if they're going to ding my video or not. But I'll put some links in there. Julia does not like the rules and look for ways to break them without getting caught. Okay? So Julia likes him. She some kind of way she noticed that, he's not like the rest of everybody else that's getting this 2 minutes of hate. The Ministry of Truth. The Ministry of Truth is where Winston worked. Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth is to correct historical records. So while he's sitting at this Ministry of Truth, so it's a lot of historical documents, a lot of different things that come across his desk. He has to put the historical records that go against Big Brother and the party down a memory hole, which is an incinerator used to burn up documents, photos, and records. So before it reaches the pros or the masses, he will doctor up the history. Like he'll take out certain pictures, take out certain documents, take out certain records, and he will put them down the memory hole. It was called the memory hole in the movie, which is the incinerator. So it would never be seen by the masses. It would never be seen by the public, right? Interesting. The importance of history. One of Winston's jobs is to change the past so that it fits into the present beliefs of those in power. I'm going to read this again. One of Winston's jobs is to change the past so that it fits into the present beliefs of those in power. Crazy. This is some of the language used in this novel, 1984, describing totalitarian and authoritarian social practices. I'm tearing that word up. Phrases: Big Brother, Thought Police, 2 minutes of hate, Room 101, Memory Hole, Double Speak, Double Think, Pros, and a Thought Crime. All right, so this guy right here, his name is Joseph Goebbels. He was in the German Nazi political party, and he was the minister of propaganda from 1933 to 1945. He was one of Adolf's closest and most devoted associates. And this is what he wrote. This is not got nothing to do with the movie, but it got something to do with the information again. We do not intend to use the radio. This was when the radio was real big before we really had a TV. We do not intend to use the radio only for the partition purposes. We want room for entertainment, popular arts, games, jokes, and music, but everything should have a relationship to our day. Everything should include the theme of our great reconstructive work, or at least not to stand in its way. This is highlighted. Above all, it is necessary to clearly centralize all radio activity, to play spiritual tasks ahead of technical ones, to introduce the leadership principle, to provide a clear worldview, and to present this worldview in a flexible way. So he was basically saying this technology that we use, that everybody uses, which is the radio, is not just should be used for games and jokes and entertainment and arts, but we should also use this as a centralized form of communication. And so it's just not, even today with the television, it's not just used to entertain you. It's used to shape an opinion or form an opinion, right? So that's interesting he said that. 2 minutes of hate. What's 2 minutes of hate? Okay, so in this novel, during the day or before they start the day, the 2 minutes of hate is a daily public period during which members of the outer party, won't get into what that is, of Oceania must watch a film depicting the enemies of the state, specifically Emmanuel Goldstein and his followers, to openly and loudly express hate for them. So they would show pictures of Emmanuel Goldstein, and the things that he did. He just a terrible person. He blew up Oceania. He just a lot of propaganda. And so these workers would just scream out, "Yeah, we hate Goldstein. We hate you. We hate you." You know what I mean? So it was 2 minutes of hate programmed in their mind every day. This is amazing. May I say again that this book came out in 1949. Who is Emmanuel Goldstein? Emmanuel Goldstein is depicted as the head of a mysterious and possibly fictitious dissident organization called the Brotherhood. Okay, so Big Brother, they don't like this group called the Brotherhood. They don't like Emmanuel Goldstein. They will continue to flash his picture, right? Propaganda. Continue to flash his picture and list all of the different things that he did. I haven't written the book, The Theory of Practice, Collectivism. He also wrote this book. He is only seen and heard on telescreen and has been and may be made a fabrication of the Ministry of Truth. We'll get into who the Ministry of Truth is as well. The state's propaganda department. Okay, that's what the Ministry of Truth is, but we'll get into it, break it down a little bit more. So every day before they work or during their work or, sometime during the middle of work, they would go 2 minutes of hate videos, propaganda videos. How does Winston react to the 2 minutes of hate, right? This is a scene from that movie. They're watching them on the video and they start screaming and going crazy. He does not support the government, but he finds joining with the crowd irresistible. So at first instant, Winston didn't know what's going on, the character Winston, but when he start seeing people hating and screaming and going off at the 2 minutes of hate session, he started hating and screaming and going off. They live in the same apartment complex as Winston does. So they're probably talking about the things that happen, right? And are his neighbors. They represent what the party will perceive as the ideal family. And then they had a week called Hate Week. All this is in this movie, in this novel. Psychological operation designed to increase the hatred of the population for the current enemy of the state. So, excuse me. They would have a whole hate week, which is a psychological operation designed to increase hatred for the enemy of the state. Anybody opposing Big Brother. Wow. All right. So some people might even say 2 minutes of hate when people turn on the Fox News and they hear all of this rhetoric about what this side is doing, or even CNN. That's why I put both of them up here, because I don't have no dog in this fight. I don't want people to say, "Oh, he's a leftist, communist, socialist." You know how people want to give you a label. So CNN, they are making 45 look crazy, and then Fox News making it look like the greatest man in the world, right? We deceive, you believe, right? They have all of these different racist guys and gals come on there and put out a bunch of racist rhetoric, right? Look at this right here. DM is publicizing coronavirus. I'm sorry, I said publicizing. Sorry, guys. DM is politicizing coronavirus, right? So you see a lot of his supporters, they didn't really wear the mask. That's why we're in a state of confusion now. All the numbers increased. Everybody wear your mask. And you got Joe and his team wearing masks, and then you got 45 and his team not wearing masks. And it's just a state of confusion, right? All right. And so this could be parallel. Again, he wrote this in 1948, 49. He don't know 45. He don't know the stuff that's going on. He just going off of what he learned when he was in the BBC. 2 minutes of hate, right? So he get on there and he teach fascism, racism, xenophobia, talk about people, you know what I'm saying? And 2 minutes of hate, they get fired up over it. You feel what I'm saying? The rhetoric, the racist rhetoric is crazy. And it parallels to the 2 minutes of hate that's in this book. Crazy, crazy, crazy. What is INSOC? INSOC is short for English Socialism. It's the political ideology of the party's total government over Oceania. So Oceania is this place where they live at or whatever, right? 3 principles of INSOC. This is one of the hate, this is when they get together and they watch the teleprompters, the party. 3 principles of INSOC: Newspeak, the party's official language, and one which is most effective communicates the party's message. Doublethink, the ability to hold 2 opposite ideas in one mind at a time. And mutability of the past, not holding on to any particular beliefs or events in the past, right? So that's kind of interesting, that mutability of the past, to get rid of the past. Whoever controls the past can control your future. If you just take it at face value, the things that's taught, then you left susceptible to whatever they tell you. You get what I'm saying? But if you go out and you dig outside what has been told to you and do your own research and your own study for yourself, you might find something that's like, wow, that's not lining up with what they told you. Okay? Very, very interesting. Man, I just love this book. Okay. The world is controlled by 3 functioning similar authoritarian superstates. All right. So Oceania, that's this blue. English socialism. INSOC, English socialism. It's all in his book. Eurasia, that's this red. Neo-Bolshevism, right? There's supposed to be a different party against this INSOC. And then yellow is East Asia. So it's Oceania's blue territories. Then it's Eurasia, this red territory, except for England. This little part right here, England, belongs to Oceania. It's crazy. And then yellow was the Bolshevism. I'm sorry, yellow was the East Asia, was the Eastern death worship or obliteration of self. The terms of the political map of the state, the 1940s, the book was written. Oceania covers the area. They just start talking about the different, what I just said. This gray area is undecided area. This is the area that all 3 of these, Oceania, Eurasia, and East Asia, they come together in these areas and they fight, right? They go in these areas and they just fight to the death. Bring tanks, ships, everything, soldiers, and they just fight that area. The superpowers are those 3 that I named: Oceania, Eurasia, and East Asia. The superpowers forbid associating with foreigners. Why do all 3 superpowers? Why do all 3? Basically, should say, what do all 3 superpowers forbid? Okay, all 3 superpowers forbid their citizens from associating with foreigners. So if you're in Oceania, Eurasia is your enemy. If you're in Eurasia, East Asia is your enemy. So you're forbid with talking with foreigners, because it said they forbid their citizens because then they would discover that they are creatures similar to themselves, and most of what they have been told are lies. So it's a divide and conquer and control. You know what I mean? And I even look at, even with this pandemic, man, stay apart, 6 feet of separation. We can't talk to each other. We got a mask on. We don't trust each other. We paranoid. Every man for himself, by themselves with a mask on. You're not really communicating. You're not really talking to one another, because you don't know if they got corona or not, and you're trying to protect yourself. So you know what I mean? It's just crazy. I'm not saying that I don't believe corona exists, so don't go there. But I'm saying I think they put a little extra sauce on that burrito. You feel what I'm saying? They put a little extraness to it because it's a specific place that they're going. All right. 3 classes. The inner party, the outer party, and the pros. And we're going to stop right there. And then we're going to pick up part 2 in a minute. All right. Subscribe, like, share. But when we come back, we're going to talk about them 3 parties. inner party, outer party, and the pros. All right? One.
Perfect.